I hit send on the family group chat and watched the three dots twitch like nervous Morse code, knowing exactly what would come next. My mother's icon blinked first, then my uncle's, then four cousins in rapid succession. I had just refused to divorce my husband Dylan. That 30-second voice note, calm, concise, polite, was apparently the spark they needed to burn me at the stake. The request had arrived 2 weeks earlier, disguised as a casual brunch invitation that already smelled like ambush before I sat down. My Aunt Lydia slid a laminated menu toward me and folded her manicured hands on the table as though she were presiding over a board meeting. Her daughter Amber, my cousin, perched beside her in a swishy floral dress, eyes shining with eager calculation. Dylan was out of town on another of his endless sales trips, which was the only reason I agreed to meet. I assumed we'd talk furniture or family gossip. "Sweetheart, you've had 3 wonderful years with Dylan," she began, voice dripping sympathy. "Amber is almost 30 and still hasn't found a partner who truly sees her worth. We've all noticed how much chemistry she and Dylan share. You could do something beautiful for the family by stepping aside." At first I laughed, half expecting a hidden camera crew. They didn't laugh back. Lydia's smile hardened into a line. Amber arranged her lips into a tremulous pout, but her gaze never left my face, waiting for me to fracture. I didn't. I told them Dylan and I loved each other, had no problems, weren't props in anyone's fantasy. Lydia suggested maybe that was only my perspective. Amber quoted some Instagram therapist about soulmates recognizing each other's aura. I paid my half of the check, thanked the server, and walked out. Until that week, I hadn't understood how essential the family chat was. Memes, recipe swaps, babysitting pleas, every social breath rerouted to a new thread that excluded me. My phone, once a humming hive, lay inert. On Tuesday, my cousin Tessa accidentally sent me a GIF of a dumpster fire, clearly meant for their covert room called Just Us. She unsent it within seconds, but the preview lingered, a pixel-sized brand. By Thursday, the silence felt punitive. An aunt unfriended me. A cousin replaced my name in a group vacation spreadsheet with question marks, and my mother sent a single broken heart emoji as though that counted as dialogue. The algorithm noticed the shift before some relatives did, offering articles about coping with abandonment. That week I discovered the precise weight of exile, heavy enough to bruise, light enough to carry everywhere. Isolation stunned me. The alienation dredged up older memories I'd buried. Lydia had been my mother's golden younger sister, the aunt with season tickets, designer handbags, and unchallengeable opinions about everything from aperitifs to algebra tutors. When I was 9, she borrowed my brand new bike for a quick spin, then lent it to Amber for the whole summer and returned it rusty. At 15, she told me bluntly that my SAT scores were respectable given our genes, then bragged that Amber was destined for an Ivy League campus. Every holiday, she found a way to belittle my achievements. Scholarships were cute, promotions merely adequate. I'd spent adulthood treating her barbs as background noise. Now I realized they had always been reconnaissance quests for future leverage. Trust was no longer a working hypothesis. I needed facts. Our phone plan gave call logs but not location history, so I purchased a passive GPS tile and tucked it into the pocket of Dylan's seldom-used tablet, synced to my account, and waited. He got in after midnight, smelling like dryer sheets and sandalwood that wasn't his cologne. I folded back into pretend sleep, heartbeats stuttering in my ears. Over the next 6 days, the tracker painted a cartographer's nightmare. While claiming Denver, he was parked outside Lydia's cul-de-sac. When allegedly grabbing drinks with colleagues, he spent hours at Amber's downtown loft. Twice he pinged at an upscale spa where Lydia maintained a platinum membership. Patterns solidified. Lunches alone with Lydia, overnights with Amber, sometimes Lydia picking him up in her silver Audi at dawn. It wasn't a fling with Amber. It was a twisted triangle where Lydia pulled every string. Rage sharpened my focus. I cross-checked credit card statements, flagging jewelry purchases shipped to Lydia's work address and a yoga retreat deposit under Amber's name. I downloaded high-resolution screenshots of Lydia's smug posts, cryptic quotes about claiming what was always meant to be. I printed GPS maps and annotated them with dates and times. I built a dossier thick enough to require binding clips, then duplicated it into both cloud and hard copies. Hiring a private investigator felt theatrical, but the preliminary footage justified every cent. We met in a strip mall office that smelled of strong coffee and printer toner. He slid still images across the desk. Dylan kissing Lydia next to her sedan. Dylan carrying grocery bags into Amber's lobby. Lydia cupping Dylan's face with a proprietary tenderness that twisted my stomach. The investigator advised patience, said the longer we watched, the bigger the leverage. I requested 1 more week, enough to confirm every ugly variation of their schedule. Confrontation alone felt inadequate. They had weaponized community to exile me. I would return the favor with forensic precision. Dylan's Global Sales Summit in Las Vegas loomed, a high-profile event where annual promotions were announced. He expected to be named regional director, a leap that came with a 6-figure bonus. Lydia and Amber had already RSVP'd to a family celebration at my parents' house the following week. Perfect. I booked a ticket to Vegas without telling him and reserved an adjoining suite under my maiden name. I also scheduled overnight courier deliveries to every relative's address, packages timed for Saturday noon, right after the conference's final award session. Inside each envelope, the dossier, a USB drive containing audio and video files, and a concise letter outlining Lydia's multi-year manipulation campaign, with page numbers for easy reference. The conference opened Friday evening with a velvet rope cocktail reception. I wore a sleek black dress Dylan had never seen and blended into clusters of spouses near the sushi trays. He circulated, charming executives, wholly unaware I was 20 feet away. At 10, he slipped out a side hallway. I followed at a judicious distance and recorded the elevator number. He entered a suite on 11. Lydia opened the door wearing a silk robe. Amber was inside, pouring champagne. They laughed, clinked flutes, and closed the door. I filmed 30 seconds through the barely latched frame, then stepped away before security passed. Saturday morning, Dylan was slated for a keynote titled, "Trust as Currency." The irony nearly gave me heartburn. I sent an anonymous email from a burner account to his division VP and the ethics hotline. Subject line, urgent. Pattern of unethical behavior by keynote speaker. The body contained links to the incriminating folder plus financial spreadsheets highlighting potential expense account fraud. Within an hour, Dylan was quietly pulled from the program pending clarification. He texted frantic apologies, claiming a scheduling mix-up. I sent a thumbs-up emoji and nothing else. At 2, award announcements began in the grand ballroom. I stood on the balcony level near the sound booth. The VP took the mic, thanked everyone for their resilience, then noted that one candidate's advancement was being reconsidered due to recent revelations. The runner-up would assume the role. Applause was polite, confused. Dylan sat frozen at a front table, flanked by Lydia and Amber, both of whom tried to mask panic behind brittle smiles. I left before the house lights brightened. My red-eye landed Sunday at dawn. I slept 3 hours, then dressed for the weekly brunch my parents still hosted. The courier had delivered while I was airborne. I walked into a living room full of relatives clutching color printouts like court summons. My mother regarded me with tear-rinsed eyes. My father's hands trembled around a mug of coffee gone cold. "Any questions?" I asked, voice steady. My father whispered, "Is it all true?" "Every frame, every decimal," I said. "But you believed gossip about me without evidence. I expect equal faith now." No one argued. Shame filled the silences like wet cement. I accepted no hugs, offered no comfort. Consequences had to be tasted to be remembered. Monday, I filed for divorce citing adultery and dissipation of marital assets. My attorney moved faster than gossip. Dylan was served at Lydia's address. The envelope handed to him while Amber and Lydia jostled behind the door. He called, left voicemails oscillating between contrition and fury. I blocked him. Lydia sent emails about family unity and the understandable weakness of the flesh. I archived them unread. Amber tried Instagram DMs accusing Lydia of manipulation. I forwarded them to my lawyer, then blocked her as well. Financially, Dylan was disarmed. He had fronted expenses for Lydia's speculative investments on our joint credit line, assuming future bonuses. I froze the account and subpoenaed records proving misuse. He became liable for half of every cent plus penalties. Word of his conference disgrace spread through industry channels. Recruiters withdrew interest. His LinkedIn connections plummeted like dominoes. The day after his aborted keynote, Dylan pounded on my townhouse door like a debt collector. I opened just enough to see his face. Eyes bloodshot, tie askew, conference badge still around his neck. He claimed a scheduling mix-up, asked why I hadn't returned calls. When I mentioned corporate compliance, his complexion sallowed. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. He swore he loved me, swore Lydia had misled him, swore Amber was a misunderstanding. Lies tripped over each other in the doorway. I told him the only conversation left would happen in court. He slumped, muttered something about everything being my fault, and stumbled down the steps. Divorce negotiations became trench warfare. His lawyer argued that some gifts to Lydia were family investments, enhancing social capital. Mine produced spa invoices labeled "Couples Escape." Dylan's camp alleged my GPS tracking violated privacy. My attorney cited statutory allowances for suspected infidelity. Exhibits volleyed until Dylan's retainer ballooned beyond his means. Eventually his side folded, accepting terms that left him with debt, no promotion, and my legal fees. Lydia's downfall was slower, more public, almost clinical. First, the abrupt listing of her 5-bedroom colonial, then the disappearance of her pearl-white Lexus. She claimed minimalism, but neighbors whispered foreclosure. Her husband discovered she had raided the family trust to prop up Amber's boutique and bankroll Dylan's vacations. Auditors flagged irregularities, charity boards dropped her, and even her wine club friends stopped inviting her to tastings. Control, once her drug, evaporated. My mother, newly emboldened, hosted gatherings that excluded her sister. On the rare afternoons she ventured out, Lydia wore oversized sunglasses and a scarf, as though anonymity could be bought in a pharmacy aisle. She tried hosting brunch to reclaim authority. Only 2 guests arrived, and both left before coffee. Unable to bear vacancy, she began writing furious letters to the local paper about declining neighborhood standards. The editor declined to print them. At night, porch lights stayed off. A blackout against curious stares, and her vanished status, an admission of defeat. Amber's collapse was quicker. Influencer partnerships vanished within days, vendors demanded cash up front, and her landlord hiked the rent. She posted a teary video blaming manipulation, but the comments section flayed her. The boutique liquidated inventory in a parking lot sale nobody attended. She petitioned for a soft reopening in a cheaper strip mall. The loan was denied on the spot. Desperate, Amber attempted a rebrand, swapping couture dresses for thrifted cardigans and filming earnest vlogs about humility. She adopted a rescue dog for sympathy points, but viewers recognized the dog as a rental from a training service. Her subscriber count, once 5 digits, cratered below 300. The final blow came when a former employee leaked screenshots of unpaid wages. The story trended locally for 2 scorching days, cementing her implosion. Sponsors vanished like thin smoke in wind. Dylan couch-surfed among coworkers until their spouses pushed him out. He mailed me letters about personal growth, hoping I'd soften on the settlement. Each envelope went straight to my attorney. Only once did I reply. Financing your growth is your responsibility. My parents called each Sunday, asking how to regain my trust. I required joint counseling, 6 months without contact with Lydia, and a handwritten apology listing specific harms. They complied. I maintained strict rules, timed phone calls, no surprise visits. The steadiness didn't heal everything, but it proved sincerity. Slowly, groundwork for cautious reconciliation began to form again. I arrived in the new city on a crisp Monday, my belongings following in a rental cube looming like a gigantic gray promise. The corporate relocation team handed me a badge, a welcome tote, and a campus map. No one here knew I had become an urban legend back home, the woman who took down an aunt, a cousin, and a husband in one precision strike. I liked that anonymity. After orientation, I walked to a waterfront path, sat on a bench, and let pedestrians flow past like unchecked possibilities. Change, I realized, is quiet when it finally arrives. One quiet Saturday, I sat on the living room floor amid half-packed boxes. I'd accepted a position in a coastal city 3 states away. Fresh slate, higher salary, 0 shared history. The legal team confirmed wire transfers had cleared into my separate account. I opened a vintage bottle of Pinot reserved since the wedding and poured a glass, not in mourning, but in ceremony. To survival, to evidence, to the freedom purchased with precise vengeance. I drank alone, counting victories instead of apologies owed ever. I sipped, and the silence felt earned.